How's it going, guys? I'm Connor from Running Warehouse, and we finally did it. We got the Believe in the Run squad here in San Luis Obispo. To my left, we've got the better half of the Believe in the Run team, Meg, and on my right, we've got the wide-footed wonder, Jarrett. Today, we got a special shoe. We've been waiting, the Rocket X2. Meg, this is your first run in the shoe. You got up a little bit early this morning, got some extra miles. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so I got up on East Coast time, so like 4 a.m. Didn't know what else to do but go for a run. So I got about 8 miles in this shoe. And I gotta say, my first impression, I'm really excited about this one. They have a whole new midsole foam. It's bouncy, it's light, it's responsive. I'm really digging it.
And I think that's really what we've been asking for from HOKA in the carbon-plated racing world. The last couple years, we've seen some good shoes, some great fits, some good underfoot experiences, but it just didn't quite have that pop. Now with that full-length PEBA-based midsole, we've got a shoe that's really gonna compete with the best. Jarrett, what's your first thoughts?
So, I mean, let's go talk about the width. Trying it on, I do notice that in the midfoot, it's a little bit tight. That's HOKA, you know, they're working with normal feet. I get it, okay? But once on, I mean, the underfoot feels fantastic. This is that race day feel. I do notice there's a really nice snappy toe off, and it's a smooth shoe. I mean, HOKA, they're getting it figured out.
I definitely think like we are on the right track, and from a softness standpoint, it's maybe not the softest super foam out there, but it's got a nice bit of squish in, and then at toe off, you get that explosiveness. I think really, it almost reminded me a little bit of that first Nike Vaporfly, and that's a good thing. That was a shoe I really enjoyed.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think it's, like you said, it's a little bit firmer than some of the super shoes we've seen, but I feel like it has enough of that like squish where you really get that bounce from the plate, and it's responsive, and I mean, like we said, this is our first run in it, but it was really, really nice.
Yeah, and from a protection standpoint, it is pretty close to a max stack height, and I feel like I could probably take it the full marathon distance, but in my own opinion, how I felt in the shoe and the stance it put me in, I felt like maybe it's gonna lie more for a half marathon. I even think a 10K, potentially even a 5K, you feel fast in this shoe.
Yeah, I would agree. I think I would definitely go up to the half marathon, maybe even the marathon. You are getting enough cushion for the marathon, but yeah, it's fast. It feels fast underfoot.
I would personally probably run a 5K in it only because of that fit, but I really like that underfoot feel, and I could see with better fit, I wouldn't have an issue doing a marathon in this. I really wouldn't. It's just bouncy, it rolls real smooth, and you know, you were saying it's not super soft, but it has give to it.
And from a geometry standpoint, I feel like that's been in HOKA's wheelhouse for a while. They've always nailed that super smooth ride, and I feel like the geometries on this are unique. We talked about another shoe that this reminds you of in terms of geometries, and I feel like Endorphin Elite is a shoe that's gonna be similar in terms of how you roll through it, and that was a shoe that I've really enjoyed running in recently, and again, this was one that I just had fun doing the miles in.
Yeah, I agree completely. It does remind me of the Endorphin Elite. It has that nice rocker geometry like you were saying HOKA is kind of known for. And so it really gives you that like smooth roll through where you just kind of want to keep running.
Now, moving on down, really the only part we haven't talked about of the shoe yet is the outsole. A pretty good amount of rubber surrounding the shoe, and really at the weight, surprising. I think it's gonna be a pretty durable shoe. And then, of course, we've got this midsole cutout, a little bit reminiscent of what we've seen on New Balance with the Energy Arc, and it's worked. You know, you get that little bit of compression, that pop at toe off. Really the only negative I can say was on our run, got a little bit of a rock stuck in there, and that's always gonna be a case with a midsole opening like this, but you know, it comes with the territory of the shoe.
Yeah.
So I talked a little bit about the width, but I do want to talk about the upper. My shoe ran, I would say, a bit short. I actually went up half a size, and the fit was a lot better. You know, my toes were touching the front of the shoe in my normal size, and I was getting some heel slip going on in here. So, I mean, how'd you feel?
Yeah, I noticed a little bit of heel slip, not horribly, and I think you mentioned that heel lace lock, which might help it even more. But as I got the miles in, there was just a little bit of friction, so I think we're gonna have to test it out even more, maybe get a 15, 20 miles, see if that causes any hot spots. I also felt in the midfoot, there was a little bit more volume than maybe some of the other super shoes I've worn, and I think that was a good thing. I still got the lockdown that I needed, but just a little bit of play that felt pretty comfortable.
Yeah, I actually didn't have the issue you guys had with the hotspot back here, but I did feel like I kind of wish that there was a little bit more structure, support, maybe through the collar and heel. I think if you're running those real fast paces and doing some turns, maybe you just want a little bit more help and lockdown here. But otherwise, the upper is very, very light, like minimal, and it fit my feet fine.
So overall, our first run is in the books in the Rocket X2, and I think it was quite a success. HOKA came in hot with that new PEBA-based foam that I think is really putting this shoe in a space of its own. The ride, the geometry, everything about the shoe is smooth, it's fast, and I think now it's gonna be even harder to pick your super shoe come race day because there are so many great options here in 2023.
So if you are a HOKA fan and you were asking for that race day shoe, the Rocket X2 is really gonna be something you're looking for with that new PEBA midsole. It works, it's nice, and if it's what's to come, I mean, HOKA's looking up.
And the good news is if you're looking to get this shoe on your feet, you can find it here at Running Warehouse.